Hey, what's up guys? It's the new sensation, Big O Notation here, and today I'm going to be going over my games in the Fight Night event that I've mentioned recently, and kind of just breaking down my thought process throughout the game so that I can bring you a little bit more of a competitive video. You get to see me in a competitive environment, and you can kind of see my thought processes throughout these games, and just kind of see how I play the decks that I've built and showcase to you guys. So before we get started, obviously huge shout out to the guys hosting the event, Kaioken Cards. I definitely recommend everybody go check out his channel. I've dropped a sub, obviously. You guys should definitely subscribe to the channel. He does these Fight Night events and they're really interesting. They're really fun to watch. I've been watching quite a few recently, and obviously I partook in the most recent one, and I'm definitely going to be looking to enter into some of the future ones coming up. And if you're interested in entering them, all you got to do is join the Discord, so they should be probably in the description of any of his videos, so I definitely recommend checking that out. So this event, this Fight Night event, it kind of has a little spin on it. So the idea is you play a best of 3 match against one opponent, so it's not like a massive event where you have to play 8 rounds of Swiss and then there isn't like a top cut or anything like that. It's just you play one match, which is really nice, so it's not massively mentally taxing, which is especially great because it's hosted over in the US. So for me, I live in the UK, so because of the massive time difference, I was playing at like midnight here, so I was pretty exhausted already. So luckily you don't have to play for like 8 hours straight or anything like that. It's just one best of 3 match and that's it. So that's really convenient, and the idea is that you bring 3 decks with you and you have to play a different deck for each match and a different leader for each match, and then you kind of don't really know what you're going to be playing against for each game of the match, because your opponent is following the same rules as you and they have to play a different leader and a different deck with each game within the match. So that's really cool. So that's why you can see the 3 leaders under me. I'm on the left here, Oliver S, that's me. You can see my logo in the top left of my screen as well. So the leaders that I brought were Lord Slug for the Lord Slug mill deck that I showcased, I think it was my last video. My blue Boujack deck, which I've been really enjoying recently and I've also showcased. And an OG Broly deck, which is kind of like a controlling hand destruction deck, which I've been toying around with a bit. I'm not so confident on the OG Broly, so I decided to play it last out of my 3, and I ended up not being able to play it in the end because the game ended before we got to the third game, so that was fine. I didn't have to play a deck that I wasn't so comfortable on, which was great. And then you can see my opponent here, he brought Turles, he also brought blue Boujack, and he brought black Gogeta Zeno. So Gogeta Zeno is probably the strongest out of his 3 decks, and that was the one I was the most scared of, although I didn't even know that I was going to be against it. And it turns out I wasn't against it in the end because the match finished before we got to game 3. So that was quite convenient because Gogeta Zeno was definitely the one I was most scared of. But yeah, definitely check out the Kaioken Cards channel, and he's got a Twitch channel as well. Definitely check all of that out. If you want to see the original video, which is what I'm going over here, there's like actual commentators commentating over it, and I know personally one of the commentators, and I watched a decent amount of the stream after my game, so I definitely recommend checking it out. I know that there were some very interesting Pegasus impressions over the course of my game, and yeah, it was really good fun to watch. I definitely recommend, if you're interested in the original commentary and stuff like that, you can check out my game. I'll have the link to the original video in the description, and I'm sure he'll be releasing the other games on his YouTube channel over the next few days, so drop a sub to Kaioken Cards, and stay tuned for the rest of the matches from Fight Night 4. If you want to enter Fight Night 5, it'll be in probably some of the descriptions of his videos, I'm not really sure. But we'll get straight into the video. So for my first deck, I decided to go with the blue Boujack deck because blue Boujack is one of my more confident decks. I think blue Boujack and Lord Slug Mill are they're the 2 decks that I know how to pilot the best at the moment. And I was against Turles, so I managed to keep my whole hand because my hand was pretty good. I remember it was like a super combo. I think I had the 1-drop Gokua to search. I think I had a couple of the 3-drop Gokuas because I was thinking, I haven't really played against too much Turles, but I know that they have a 1-drop that can really start their combos going off because they the 1-drop swings, and then when he swings, he can combo with any of the top 5 cards from his deck. So I was thinking I could maybe bottom deck his 1-drop with my 3-drop Gokua, so I decided to keep hold of that. So he won the dice roll. He ran the dice roll, sorry, which is really inconvenient for blue Boujack. I feel like for blue Boujack, winning the dice roll is really important, because the main strategy of the deck is just to get to turn 4, get your unison set up, and then from then on it's really hard to be killed in blue Boujack. As long as you have your Majin Buu unison down, it offers you so much defense that as soon as you get there, you just can't really die after that. So he managed to set up turn 1 really nicely for him. He got a Demigra down and uptick to 2, so he gets his Freezer counterplay live, and that is something that I have to look out for in the future and play around for. I dropped my Gokua down and I searched for my Unison, because at the time I didn't have a copy of the Unison in my hand, so I figured I'd just grab it so that I don't have to worry about not seeing it later on. And I just swung at his leader. Oh no, I swung at his Unison and passed. I'm not sure if I should have swung at his Unison here, because it gave him an extra card in hand, and I kind of wasn't sure if I kind of wasn't sure how aggressive he would be, because I know a lot of Turles decks are really aggro, but this one ended up being a little bit more controlled, which was a really interesting take on it. Shout out to my opponent as well. I'm pretty sure he has a YouTube channel called The Chamber DBS, where he does some really cool content. I would definitely recommend checking him out. I'll have links to his channel in the description as well. But he was a really good player. We had a great time because we both brought blue Boujack, and we were kind of laughing about that because we never really see anyone play blue Boujack. So here he's just comboing in on his leader swing to go up to 16k, and that's going to let him a rival in his Turles, and then he's going to bring out the 2 combo guys as well. The reason that I didn't combo Zangia when I swung with my leader was because I figured if his deck is aggressive, then I'm probably going to need the extra 5k combo on his turn, because if he swings with leader and doesn't combo, which he didn't end up doing in this case, but I thought he might do, then I could have comboed the Zangia and just gotten out of the attack freely and gotten the draw still. So that was my reasoning behind not comboing the Zangia on my turn and saving it for his turn, was because I valued the extra 5k combo, and I'm not guaranteed to see a blue Boujack card off the top of my deck if I do combo the Zangia. Luckily I did get the 8-drop into my energy, which is great, especially against an aggro deck, because it's kind of a free 10k combo for me. Obviously it's great against control as well, because it just secures that on turn 5 or so you can start bringing them out. I don't think I ended up playing any 8-drops this game, which was really funny, because I'm pretty sure the commentators were all hyped about seeing the 8-drop. They were all excited to see it come down and do some big things, and then I ended up just not even playing it because I was focused so much on my Unison and on some of my other plays. So here he's got a really massive board. He's tapped 1 for the Son Goku. I think it's long-awaited rematch or something, but it you can play it for 1 energy if you have a green leader and a green battle card, and I think it becomes 25k triple strike if you bring the TN out. I've not really played against that combo before, so I didn't really know what it was. But I tried to play around it a little bit later on, but I think I misplayed once based around it, which I will get into later on. So here I'm just taking all my life. I'm very happy to take damage early on in Boujack, because as soon as you get to 3 life you can awaken, and your awaken turn is really strong because you get 2 combos from energy. Here I just figure I'll use Galactic Buster. At this point I have multiple Galactic Busters in my hand, so I just use one of them pretty aggressively here because it's turn 1 and I could have just taken the damage, but I use it for the purpose of, it gets me out of the Turles attack, but the main reason I used it was so that I could swarm the board just to match his board presence a little bit, and that means that on my turn I will now be able to swing into his battle cards and try and deal with some of his board presence, because he has like 5 battle cards on the board and a Unison, so I was a bit worried about that. So here he's just turning over 1 of my life for his tree and grabbing a fruit. And I've charged another Gokua. I charged Gokua because obviously it can be comboed from energy, but also from his start, it kind of looks like he's not running the 1-drop, because I know a couple of Turles lists decide not to run the 1-drop, and so I figure I'll charge a Goku in case he does run the 1-drop, but if not, I can just play it out as a 20k body. And often having the cards, the Boujack Brigades in your hand, is a lot more flexible than having them in your energy, because you don't have to worry about tapping them down before you use them to be the most energy efficient. So here I use the Beidou to bottom deck his Turles because it's still 20k, so it's going to be a little bit harder to get over. His Son Goku actually has Barrier, which makes him really annoying to deal with, but luckily he swung with the Son Goku, so I'm going to be able to swing into it with a Beidou and combo up to 20k here, and that means that I don't have to worry about the Goku TN combo for now. And then I just bring out my other Goku so that I can apply a little bit more pressure, start clearing out his board even further, and I kill his Days, or Diaz, or whatever it's called. Here I think I misplay, so I swing into the free blocker that he has, or I don't think that's the blocker, but it's one of the 2 twins that brings out the blocker, and that allows him to then combo in and free play out another blocker from his deck. I think that was a slight misplay. I think that generally against Turles, it's good to leave one of the 2 twins on the board, because then if they play the other one, then they're losing a lot of value because they don't get to free play from the deck. So I think that that was a slight misplay on my part, but it doesn't hugely impact the game, I don't think. It just gives him an extra blocker on the board and lets him deck thin by 1. So I think in future I would try and leave one of the 2 twins on the board, and maybe obviously I'd want to kill the blocker one and then leave the other one on board if I can, so that it's just a little bit more awkward for him. But I think I was thinking he can also combo the Lakusai from the board, and that would give him an extra combo which would go towards his 3-drop Turles arrival thing. So here he has another of the Son Gokus, and that also lets him take a life, I think. I can't really remember if... I think that was the Son Goku that lets him take a life, and then he also takes a life from Leader, which puts him in Awaken range, which is really annoying because I was purposefully not swinging at his Unison the last turn so that he wouldn't get put into Awaken range, and I was hoping to just leave him on 6 life so that he could only go down to 5 with his Leader swing, but then he's able to Awaken with his Leader because of the Goku, and he swings into the Beidou, I guess just to try and clear my board because I do have quite a threatening board presence at the moment, and then he just uses the -3 on the Demigra to kill off my last 3 drops, which is a pretty good play. And then he also has another Unison in hand, so he has the Metacooler Unison, which I haven't seen in a long time, but I love the Metacooler Unison. I've got a couple of copies just in case it ever becomes good, because I used to love playing Metacooler when it first came out. Not the deck Metacooler, but I used to love playing that specific Unison. So it lets him draw 2 and then discard 1, I think, and he discards the fruit, and then he uses his Leader effect to bottom deck a card and grab the fruit back, which is a really nice combo because it means he can then start bottom decking extra copies of fruit in his hand and then search them out with tree once he starts running out of cards in his, or targets in his deck. So here he's just swinging down my Leader. The token is 15k, I believe, and the Unison is also 15k, so I take one of the life, and then I use Leader effect to combo Zangia, and I top deck another Zangia into my energy. I think my hits from my Leader effect putting cards into my energy were really, really good this game. Like, I managed to hit a Boujack Brigade with almost every Leader effect. So that was really, really helpful. Sometimes I found the deck really struggles if you can't get Boujack Brigades into your energy, but this game I just managed to chain through them with every Leader effect, which was great. So here I charge the Majin Buu Unison. This is really weird for the Boujack deck because you always want to be charging Boujack Brigade cards if you can, but I remember my hand right now was actually 3 copies of the Majin Buu Unison and a copy of the Gotenks Unison, so I had all of my Unisons in my hand and I couldn't play them because I wasn't on turn 4 yet, so I just figured I need to get these dead cards out of my hand right now because I want to be saving combat power because he could definitely kill me next turn with his current board state. And I have barely anything on the board, I just have a 1-drop Gokua. So here I'm just kind of considering what to do. There's a couple of things I need to think about. So I need to think about Dormant and I need to think about the Freezer counterplay. And what I didn't consider was that Dormant can obviously pop my Gokua when I swing. So I blindly swing the Gokua, I think into his Unison, and that limits me to 1 attack for the rest of the turn and kills my Gokua off, which was quite a bad play from me. But I do have a second Gokua in hand, so I just get to search the top 5. In future, I would definitely recommend swinging with my leader in that situation first, and then swinging with the Gokua, because if he does have the dormant, then I'm still getting the attack through with my leader. I think my reasoning behind not doing that, in fact, was I wanted to see if he had the dormant, and I wanted to save my leader swing for after playing the second Gokua, and then I could combo with the Zangief and not waste the energy, but I couldn't play the second Gokua until I'd baited out the dormant with the first Gokua. So that was my reasoning behind it, and I think it's a pretty good play in hindsight, just because it still results in the same thing of him getting 3 markers on the Unison. I'm swinging at his Unison here because I don't want him to get the -4, because that swarms the board with 3 Metacooler tokens. And I think if he does that, as well as being able to have 4 energy and make some plays with that energy, I'm going to be in a really tricky situation. Especially because he has that Goku on the board. If he drops the TN, he can make the Goku a triple striker. And a triple striker is the last thing you want to be playing against as a Boujack player, because you awaken on 3 life, so you want to be going to 3 life if possible. And then the triple striker is just going to take you from 3 to 0 as soon as you get the opportunity to awaken. So I was really worried about the triple striker right here. I think the TN, when it comes in, you can play it for 2 if you have the Goku on board, and it has deflect, and it becomes double strike if you have the Goku out. And I think when he comes into play, he KOs everything 5 or less that your opponent controls. So that in itself wasn't a massive issue for me at the moment, because I only have 1 card out. But the main thing I'm worried about is this Goku becoming a 25k triple striker. And I'm also thinking at this point I can't go to 2 life here, because he has fruits in hand, so he'll just be able to boost up one of his Turles cards into a massive double striker. And he starts going in with leader and drops a fruit down, and I know that I can't take this because going to 1 life is the same as going to 2 life against this deck, and it's just as bad because he can drop so many fruits down on me that he'll be able to definitely out-combo whatever I've got in hand, even though I have a stacked hand right now. I've got like 10 or 11 cards in hand, and he's definitely going to be able to push through if I go down to 2 or 1 life. So I know that I have to out-combo this, but it's still a 35k swing. So I just combo with the Boujack from my energy, and I hit another Zangief, which is incredibly lucky for me. I think I've hit all 4 Zangiefs off of my leader effects here. And I just opt to bean. My hand right now is really weird because I don't have anything that I can like tap energy with mid-battle, because I have to wait until the end of the battle to bring in my Boujack Brigade cards and tap the energy down. But I have like cards like Bean in hand, and I have my leader backside effect free as well, which I can use to combo the Zangief from my energy. So I kind of want to use my energy first, but I also can't, because that would require me comboing a lot of cards from my hand and then bringing them into play. And so I was forced into a situation where I have to bean pretty inefficiently, just using it for the extra 5k. But the bean is really nice here because all of his guys at the moment are 15k, and so he's not going to be able to push through as hard without losing a bunch of hand advantage. And here he swings with a token and combos Daze and searches top 3. I think he whiffed again on the top 3 search. I know he whiffed last time, and I think he whiffed again here. So that puts him at 18k, and I just combo a Zangief from my energy. I think he must have comboed with something else as well, like another token. Oh, he swung with the Unison and comboed a token in the Daze to go to 23k. That's what it was. And then I combo up to 25 with the Zangief. So here he plays down the 4-drop Turles for 2 energy. And I believe what he does is he's 15k crit. When he swings, he can KO a guy, and he gives all of your Turles cores or Turles Crusher cores plus 10k on his turn. So I just drop all too easy down to negate the attack because I don't want to take a massive crit swing. And this is his only guy that can get through my leader at the moment because of Bean. So I just decide to negate with all too easy. He kills off my Beater with the swing effect and passes turn. And so here I'm in a pretty weird situation because I can play my Boo Unison, which is great, and that will kind of give me an out to the Turles that I'm worried about him being able to pressure with. But I also need to make sure that I can control the Unison marker, the markers on the opponent's Unison, because if he can get to that -4 stage, then I'm in a really, really bad situation. But as soon as I get that Boo Unison down, I know I'm going to be in a good spot because I can just clear his board on command with the -1. And so here I just swing with my leader into his unison to see if he has dormant or any sort of negate, and that way I just guarantee him going down to 3 markers if he doesn't. So I just get him down to 3 markers, and then I drop my Boo Unison, use the +0 to draw a card, and swing into, I believe, his Unison again, but he just blocks it with the Raisin. And so there I just pass turn and untap 1. So this situation is really weird. Like if he has the TN, then I'm in a really bad spot because he can take me from 3 to 0 if I don't have a negate. Luckily I do have the all too easy in my drop, and I believe at this point I also have 2 copies of the Boujack negate in my hand, because I searched one earlier and I just drew naturally into another one. Here he swings with the Turles into, I believe, the Unison, and I think I just end up using the -1 on the Unison. I'm not sure if this was actually the correct play. I think this turn he had a chance to potentially kill me if he had the TN, which I don't think he ended up having, because he would have probably played it a bit earlier. But I think here I give him the opportunity to kill me if he had the TN, and I don't know how I could have played it better. So I used the -1 to bottom deck his Turles, and I maybe could have saved that for if he dropped the TN, but I think he was just swinging all in on my Unison here to try and just kill it, which is fair enough. Against Blue Boujack, if you can kill the Unison successfully over multiple turns, then it makes it a lot trickier. So he swings with leader and takes my Unison down to 2 by comboing off a token, and then he replays the token from the meta cooler, and then he uses leader effect to grab a fruit. I think a play that he could have potentially done is using fruit on the leader here, just to take me down to 1 marker, and that would have made it a lot trickier for my Unison to survive. But what he opts to do instead is to swing with the Unison, combo off his 2 guys on board to arrival in the Turles again, and then he bottom decks 1, draws 2, and the Turles becomes 20k. He opts not to flip one of my life over with the Turles here, which I found a bit weird, but I guess it's because he's going to be flipping enough of my life over with the tree anyway, that he doesn't need to flip with the Turles, so he doesn't need to give me that knowledge of what's in my life. Here he's just swinging 20k into my Unison, and here I use the Boujack negate. So if he had the TN, he potentially could have killed me here, I think, because he could have dropped TN and swung TN into my Unison, and then swung triple strike into my leader with the Goku, and that would have killed my Unison so that it couldn't block the triple striker, and then swung triple strike into my 3 life, which could have potentially killed me if I couldn't combo out. I'm not sure if I would have been able to combo out there, but I potentially could have because I had quite a big hand, but he also had a decent sized hand and he had fruits in hand, so he potentially could have killed me there if he had the TN, but I wasn't really sure if he had it or not, and by the looks of things he didn't have it because he didn't drop it. I think he was only running 1 or 2 copies of the card, so the likelihood of him having it was pretty low. And judging from the fact that he hadn't played it already and tried to swing, because I think the turn before he could have potentially swung in with the TN as well, I just assumed that he didn't have it. So here I'm just swinging into his Unison with my leader again. I'm still trying to control that Unison because that's the main thing I'm scared of other than the TN at the moment, because I want to make sure that he can't get the -1 off, or the -4 off, sorry. And so here I swing double strike into his Unison and combo the Goku on swing, and this means that because he's taking the 2 damage on his Unison, he's going down to 1 marker, and that means he doesn't have the opportunity to freeze a counterplay on my Unison, or on my Goku, sorry. So that was my reasoning behind that. It just guarantees that I'm going to be killing off his Unison unless he has a negate in hand, and if he has a negate in hand then I don't really mind, I'd still take him to 1 marker. And that means that he won't get the -4 off. So I'm able to get through that Unison nice and cleanly, and I have my Majin Buu Unison back with 4 markers again, because I drew multiple copies as I mentioned earlier. So here I think he just starts swinging into my Unison again, doing a similar thing to last turn, just trying to get through it so that he can start swinging into my leader. And here I drop Baby Hatch. Oh! That's it. I think he wouldn't have actually been able to kill me with the TN, and that's why I played like I did in the last turn, because I drew into Baby Hatch last turn. I think it was during one of my combos, I must have drawn a card off of like a Zangief or something, and I drew into Baby Hatch, and so I was like, I'm only going to need to use this if I see him drop TN. because that's the only thing that can kill me. And so I figured because he's not dropping the TN, I can just save it for this turn and guarantee that my Unison gets protected on 4 markers, which was really nice. I could have potentially used it the turn before, but I drew into it mid-turn, so my Unison was already pretty low on markers, and so I figured I'd just save it for a bigger Unison the next turn, which is what I ended up doing, and it really paid off because now I have a Unison with 4 markers instead of a Unison with 1 or 2, which is really, really great, obviously. And so here I see that he doesn't have a Unison, but he does have 5 energy open, so I tap 4 for my Kefla. And this kind of says to him, look, if you have the Freezer counterplay in hand, you can tap 5 for it and kill my Kefla, which would have been a fine play. But if he'd done that, then I could have just killed him with my board presence, because I have Baby Hatch, I have Goku, I have a double strike swinging Unison, and I have my leader swing, and I still have 2 energy open to start bringing in my 4-drop Bojacks. So it was like, if he drops the 5-drop Freezer on me, with the number of like fruits and stuff in hand that he has, he probably will die that turn if he drops it. So I kind of knew that my Kefla would be safe that turn, even though he could have potentially killed it. And so here I'm just swinging my board into his leader. I'm trying to apply some pressure, get through some of his negates, and so I think he took a life from the Kefla swing, he super comboed out of the Goku swing, and then he negates with homicidal clones on the Baby Hatch. And I'm just swinging with my leader. I think here he decided not to block with the homicidal clones, which I found a bit weird because he then comboed off the token that it summoned. So what I end up doing is I just use my leader to combo Goku from energy to give me another swing to try and apply a bit more pressure, and here he combos off his Meta token and his Metacooler token. I think it would have been better for him to just block with the Meta token, but maybe he just wasn't thinking about that, or maybe he didn't think that I would combo on the swing or something, I'm not really sure. Or maybe he was trying to save it for the Boo Unison swing. But what ends up happening is I bring out my Gokua and swing with it to apply a bit more pressure. I know that if he goes down to 2 life, I can just swing with my Unison and try and full combo in. And then he drops Shocking Death Ball to negate the attack and kill off my Boujin. And I just pass the turn over. Because I don't want to swing with my Boo Unison here, because if he's probably going to end up taking the life, because this is his last turn with the current board state that I have, and I don't want to give him hand advantage to try and kill me. So I just pass turn, I get to untap 1 for my Boo Unison, and I also get to untap 2 for my Kefla, which I almost forgot about, which would have been quite bad, but I just remember before he starts swinging with his battle cards and his leader. I can't remember what he swung at here. I think it might have been into my Unison again, and he drops a fruit down to take it to 2 markers. I think that at this point he might as well have just started swinging at my leader, because killing off my Unison, I'm not sure if it was really gonna do much for him, because I'll still get the -1 off at some point. But I guess with the amount of fruits that he had in his hand, he could probably do it pretty cleanly just by swinging with leader and then swinging with this Turles to try and get the double strike swings through. So maybe he was thinking he could just get 2 double strike swings through and just cleanly kill it from 4 markers to 0. But what I end up doing is I use the Boujack negate in my energy, because I don't want to waste the -1 on my Unison on a Turles, and I know that if this Turles goes through, he will definitely be able to kill it, because he'll just drop fruit and double strike on my Unison. So I don't want to waste the -1 in case he drops a card like TN, so I just negate the attack so I can hold my Unison a bit longer, and then so that yeah, it just means that my Unison survives, and so I can use the -1 and block an attack later. So here he drops the TN and clears some of my board, and I just immediately, as soon as he swings, I want to use the -1 because the TN doesn't have barrier, unlike the Goku. And so I can -1, and that means that the Goku no longer has triple strike and the TN is just off the board. So that's a massive swing for me. I managed to deal with his TN, and that's a big reason why I negated the attack on my Unison, because I wanted to be able to put myself in a position where I could do something like that. And it means he now has to waste his Goku attack on my Unison. So with the Boujack negate there, I actually charged the Android 17 off of the top of the deck because I used the Boujack negate from energy. And I was really hoping that he'd just swing once into my leader so that I could super combo and add it back to my hand, and then just tap 7 next turn for the Android 17, and that would have guaranteed killed him in this turn. but sadly he didn't swing at my leader at all. He was solely swinging at my unison, and I didn't have a card like Chilled's Army Reinforcements in my hand where I could summon a blocker out and force him into swinging at a battle card or a leader. So here, even though I don't have the Android 17, I'm still thinking maybe I can kill him, but he has quite a few cards in hand, especially for a Turles deck. As I mentioned earlier, his Turles deck is a lot more control based rather than aggro, so he got quite a few cards in hand over the course of the game, and he was able to just sit back for quite a while and just accumulate a bunch of hand advantage, which was really good of him, to be fair. He definitely played really nicely. But here I'm just swinging with my big guys. I haven't used Kefla this turn because at this point I'm on something like 5 cards in deck, and so I'm thinking if I use Kefla I might just deck out. And I believe he took the damage from the baby hatch swing and then either comboed out or negate. I think he used a fruit to combo out of the Kefla swing, and I comboed in a Boujack on the Kefla swing because the Kefla was the weaker of the 2 swings. So I just figured if he's taking the baby hatch swing, I want to combo on the Kefla to make it harder for him to combo out of. So I bring in the Boujack and I swing twice into his leader, and he just combos out of the first attack. I decide not to bottom deck anything when I play the Boujack because my only target was his 3-drop Turles at the time. And that card has unique, and I don't want him playing a second copy during this turn to give him some extra draw power, because I'm looking to kill him this turn if possible. So here I swing again with my Boujack, and I combo another Boujack from my energy with my leader effect. And this was a slight misplay on my opponent's part, I think. I think he should have definitely blocked this attack from the Boujack because he knew I had Boujack in my energy. I hadn't used my leader swing yet, and it just meant I could bottom deck his blocker and he didn't get any value out of it. But instead of blocking, he ends up taking the damage, and so that means I can bring in my Boujack and bottom deck his blocker. And then I swing with my Boujack once, and he uses the Daze and a Zamasu to combo out. And his deck is looking pretty small there, you can see as well. He's definitely got a bigger deck than mine at the moment, but still pretty small. And he grabs a super combo off of the Daze, which is really frustrating for me. I don't want to be seeing him grabbing super combos when I'm trying to kill him. But I just drop another Boujack on my final Boujack swing there, and he super combos out and uses another 5k, I believe. And so then I'm just going to tap another 2 for another Boujack, and here I decide not to bottom deck anything again because both his guys on the board that I can choose have unique, and so if he combos enough cards he'll be able to bring out more copies of those and get some potential searches or draws. So I just decide not to bottom deck anything there. And here I know he has 2 energy open, and his hand is probably kind of full with fruits or negates or something, but judging from the fact he hasn't negated any of my previous attacks, I decided that he probably didn't have negates in hand. But I haven't seen a secret rare from him this game, so I'm thinking he's either probably running the Heroine's Lineage SCR or the Great Ape SCR. So I'm thinking I probably want to make sure that I keep my leader back so that he can't kill my battle card or steal it on the kill swing. So that's why I haven't swung with my leader yet. It's the last attack that I'll have left. And here I'm swinging with my final attack on my Boujack, and I decide to use Galactic Buster and combo in a little bit just to try and see if I can bait out the Great Ape SCR or the Heroine's Lineage, and he ends up doing that. My reasoning behind that was because I wanted to combo up enough so that it would pressure him into using the Great Ape, and that means that he's got no energy left for my final swing because he only had 1 energy when he used the Great Ape, and that means that he can no longer negate the attack, he can no longer use Fruit of the Tree of Might from his hand, and so I was just able to kill him with leader swing there because I had 3 super combos in hand and he could only combo up to 25k. So that's the end of the first match. I managed to take that one pretty nicely with a win. I think I played that match pretty well. I think I made maybe 2 misplays, but even though they were misplays, they were still kind of arguably not misplays. Like, I think I played it pretty well overall. My next match, I played Lord Slug Mill against his blue Boujack. Sadly, that match ended up going to time, so I'm not going to actually go over that during this video at least. If you guys want to see me go over that, I'm very happy to. Just let me know down below. But we didn't actually decide on a clear winner from that match because it ended up in a draw, which was a real shame. I definitely think that I could have won it because I was in a very good position. He, at the end of the match, he had 9 cards left in deck, and I ended my turn 4, so it was going into his turn 4, and I had a Dormant Potential in hand with a Unison on board. I had Freezer counterplay, and I also had Black Smoke in hand, so I knew that he only had 9 cards left in deck. He was going to draw 1 for turn, he was going to draw 1 off of my Leader Swing next turn, and he was going to mill 7 off of my Black Smoke. So if I made it to the next turn, which I think I would have, because I think I was at 5 life at the time as well, because I used the Rejuvenate to get back up to 5 life. On 5 life with a Dormant and a Freezer to be able to protect you, I think I was pretty guaranteed to survive the next turn. And then I was going to be able to Black Smoke and mill him out for the game. But sadly that game ended up going to time, so we don't really have a clear winner, but I think I definitely could have won the final game. So because that went to time, it ended with 1 win in favour of me and 1 draw, which means that I ended up taking the whole match, which was really nice. So I think I get a Metal Leader from TCG Metals, shout out to them. I think they sponsored the event, as you can see on the screen now, just in the middle. They do some really cool product, I definitely recommend checking them out as well. Check out all of the stuff in the description, like Kaioken cards and stuff, and whilst we're at it, you can also check out my Twitch channel where I do some pretty regular streams, stream Dragon Ball, stream some just variety different games. Definitely come check it out, say hi. I hope you enjoyed the style of video. It's a little bit different to what I normally do. I haven't been able to review one of my games in a long time because I haven't been in very many online tournaments recently, especially ones that I've been able to record in, so that's really nice. Shout out to Kaioken Cards for letting me use this gameplay and use this footage so that I can make a video out of it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe, and all of that good stuff. Check out all the links in the description as per usual, and I hope you have a good day.